Hi, I'm Donna Balducci, and I work in Westminster Choir College, and I also work in the Student Affairs Department.
Where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Queens, New York. I'm a Yankees fan, I'm a sports fan, I love my state.
So tell me about your life in the music industry.
Well, when I was a little girl, I was raised in a musical family. My dad was a musician, so there was always music in the household. When I was about 7 years old, I can recall having my first guitar lesson, and I didn't like it because it hurt my fingers. Then eventually, he was a recording guy. He always did recordings and wrote music and played in bands. So as I got older as a teenager, I started taking piano and opera lessons. So from there, then I went to, I'm going to give you the condensed version because it's pretty long. Then from there, I went to college. I went to Queens College for music. And then we moved to Long Island. And music, again, was still part of my life, still taking lessons and coming back and forth to Queens because we owned a business in Queens. And then from there, my dad passed away when I was 17, and then we moved back to Queens. Then I pursued music in college. I was studying music therapy, and I was working, volunteering in the church, also doing music there. So I was always heavily involved in the music industry. Then when I got a little older, from there, I was in different bands, and I was in like Christian rock bands. After I did that, I was traveling all over the country, writing for a magazine, interviewing bands, in my own band. Um, I'm just trying to think, there's just so much. Then later on after that, I opened my own music school and music studio. That was when I was in my 30s. That was very successful. I had that for about 14 years with my sister. Meanwhile, at the same time, while I was doing that element of music, again, I was playing in bands. I was in like three bands at once. One was a praise band, one was just a regular secular band, and we were doing little gigs all over the New Jersey shore. Um, and even to today, I'm still involved in music at the school. This is what attracted me to Westminster because I had my administrative skills and I didn't want to. After I left my business, I gave it to my sister and she's still currently running it. I came here because, again, it was a merge of both my music skills and my administrative skills.
Could you tell me a little bit more about your bands?
Okay, well, let's see. The first band that I was in was a Christian all-girl rock band. And that was my idea. I wanted all girls. And we basically did cover tunes of whatever the music was originally out at the time. And it was very evangelical, and I viewed it as evangelism. We wanted to go out and have a message and share our faith. So that was the first band. And then I was in a second band that was with guys.
Everything that you do and see, one more event in your memory.
That was more of like a dance Christian band. Then I went into another band that was more dance, like Donna summer disco stuff at that time, because that was my generation. I was doing that. Then I felt, and I was playing keyboards in those bands. That's another thing, for the most part. Not the dance band, the first band. And that band was called Zeal. Then I got into the 80s, and I loved the guitar parts. And I wasn't a guitarist at the time, but I heard a band called Striper, and they had dueling leads and harmonies, and they had three-part harmonies, and they had a message, and they were in the mainstream. And when I heard them, it was just such beautiful music. That's what I wanted to do. Um, it was the guy's voice and the harmonies. It was the blend. That's what I wanted to do. So that band, then again, we continued to use the name Zeal, and I reformed that band with two guys, and my sister was the other guitarist. So we were two lead guitarists, which was kind of odd at the time. You didn't really see women doing that. So we weren't just strumming three chords. It was real guitar lead and heavy. My teacher was in a famous band called Riot. He's still out there touring. They're very popular still in Japan. But back in the day, I studied with him for about, I think it was 5 years. So he got me really good, and that's how I got my chops up. Then again, when that started to wind down, there was many bands. This particular, I was depressed, honestly, because that generation of music went out, and then it became more grunge. So then we adapted again, and we changed the name of the band to Perpetual Motion, and we started doing coffee houses, and we went into Red Bank and started doing more secular mainstream stuff to actually make money from it. One of my favorite gigs, we were working on the Navasink River, and we were on like this cruise boat that would go out on weekends, and we'd have to set up the stuff, and the boat is going out, and you're playing all like under the boardwalk. Really cool stuff. Peter Frampton, Baby I Love Your Way, just that kind of music, because I really wasn't into the grunge stuff. I wanted more. I liked more melodic, more heavier stuff. But at the same time, I failed to mention this. In between the Christian rock band, I was in a praise band at Calvary Chapel for 7 years. I was the music director there for the youth group. That particular band, I was in two there. I was in one that was for the main service, and then two for the youth group. So again, that was two different styles of music. Like the main service was more Maranatha, very soft sounding. Whereas then when we worked with the kids, that was more, it had a little bit of a rock edge, but not too much like the heavy metal. So I was in three at the same time during that period of my life. Then back to how I got to where I am now. After I was doing the New Jersey Shore and doing different clubs, we decided we were going to take a break. I didn't really care for the music. It was just kind of boring to me. After coming from that, I was just like, I'll just take a break. So then anyway, it came to, I started teaching. I was teaching for 7 years, and that's how I kind of, with my own business, that's how I filled that need of being around music. Doing my concert thing, I'd go see bands, and that was kind of fun. And then currently, what led me to being involved again, I took a little bit of a break, and it was insecure to get back into it again because the styles changed, and I think when I hit Princeton Meadow and Bernie, saw it in me, he knew it was there, he was going to extract it out of me. He did it over the course of the past 3 years, and now when I look at where I'm at, I can't believe I'm here again, because I was kind of broken about 3 years ago, and I just didn't really want to do any music, and then I started doing it again because I didn't feel my chops were there. And then I was taking lessons here for 3 years with Nancy Hurl, so that got me vocally prepared, and just a little at a time, I was given things to do in the church, and it's a big church, so it can be very intimidating up on that stage. And I don't like to call it a stage, the platform, because you're leading worship. It's not the same thing as performing. It's like you want to be good, but it's not the same thing as performing. That's easy. Performing's easy for me. When it's worship, it means more to me, so I want to be in the right place when I'm doing it. But over time, I started to work with Bernie, and I've been given more things to do, and today it's exactly where I wanted to be. I've gained back everything that I had from years ago. So that's where I'm at now.
So how did you come to Princeton?
Well, I moved from New York to New Jersey, I want to say 92. because I was heavily involved in a very specific church group, and we decided we wanted to move closer because we were coming to New Jersey like 4 times a week from New York. So we purchased a home and we moved to New Jersey. So I was over actually in the Old Bridge, East Brunswick area. What got me to Princeton was Westminster Choir College. I was living then in East Windsor, and then I decided I wanted to move closer to where I'm working. So this is how I landed myself back into Princeton.
How are you involved in music in Princeton?
Well, this is interesting. Working here, one of the students that graduated is a music director in Princeton Meadow Church, and that's my church. I've been going there now like 3 years. So basically, what I'm doing there, I'm part of the praise band. I play guitar and I do vocals. I basically do whatever is needed. And I've been so happy to be there because it's the quality of music that we present. It's just amazing. And I feel very honored to be working side by side with a Westminster graduate. It's just amazing. I love it. And that's just part of what I do over in Princeton. And then I'm also now working again with another secular band. We're forming that. And we want to again be back down by the Jersey Shore and do that kind of stuff. But basically in Princeton, it's my favorite. I work at the church.
What is your favorite genre of music?
It varies. It really varies. It depends on it depends on my mood. It's the same way I say it depends on my mood. Depends on what I listen to. I have a vast amount of different styles and genres that I will listen to, but I passionately love each and every one of it. Like I'm a Zumba instructor, and I listen to all Latino music. That is that genre there, and I'm passionate about that. Classical, it's like I fall out every time on readings and carols or whenever I go to anything that's classically based. My rock background is a merge of classical and secular, regular music. Like my favorite guitarist, his name is Yngwie Malmsteen, and he took Paganini and he merged that with heavy metal. And when you hear the sound, and he plays it in with an orchestra, and it's just such an amazing sound, a blend. So it varies on, what is my community. It depends on who I'm with. It varies. When I'm with the church people, I may be doing Hillsong United music and Chris Tomlin. So it really varies. I'm kind of like blend in with whatever the genre is. But the whole thing about it is it's music. And anything that involves music, it just excites me. Even this morning driving in, I was listening to random. I was listening to More Than the Feeling, and I was detailing the harmonies and the guitar parts and the orchestration of how that was put together, because that's one of the songs we're going to be doing in the band. So the community, what is the community? I guess it depends on who I'm around.
And how has music influenced who you are?
Music for me is everything. Being raised in the family of musicians, even if you look at my relatives, one of my relatives, his name is Rob Balducci. He's a famous guitarist, and he actually works with Steve Vai. I have another cousin who's a writer, and he's got published books, and another cousin who's an artist. And it's just in the family. It's like that creative side. So it's always been there. And how has it influenced me? It's down to my core of who I am. I wake up to music. I go to sleep to music. I hear it. It's part of my daily breathing. The same way that I eat, that's how music is to me. And working at Westminster, that even incorporates it even more, because walking around campus, I hear it, and it's soothing to the soul. It's everything about me, besides being a Yankees fan and a Zumba instructor. But that's also music too. So that's what music is to me. Everything.
You said you worked for a music journal.
Okay.
Talk about that.
Okay, that was really an exciting part of my life. The name of the magazine was called Christian Musicians United. So I had two jobs for that. One of them was to review tapes of incoming artists. So they would send it, and we'd have a section in the magazine where we would review the tapes. And what was really fun to see, for me, was really my skill level, that if we picked the ones that were really good, they usually got signed on major labels. So it was really good, because you wanted to critique it in a way where you gave them constructive criticism, where they would either fix it, or you see the talent that's already there, and then bam, they get signed. So that was one of the things. Then the other really fun part, we would fly all over the country. When I say we, my sister and I, and we would interview bands for the magazine. So, like, say, for example, we were at Cornerstone Festival. This had like 50,000 people that would come through for 4 days. So you'd have all the main artists at the time performing. So we would have to do interview questions. So we'd get backstage and we'd meet them, and then we'd write the articles for the magazine. And that was just so fun. So I was in California a lot of the time too. I was flown out there at least 5 times a year. And that was really fun too. There was numerous times that I was on stage with the bands. So, and I was also in Capitol Records, and because they were recording, and I'd get to be behind the scenes to see how they actually did recordings. I can recall a time, one of my favorite bands, Barren Cross, they were recording their new album, and there was no vocals down, and they called me in the studio, and they said, "We want you to hear this." And it was like I got to hear the tracks before they actually produced the record. And then when I got the CD, I was like, I was there for that. And it was cool, and my opinion was valued. So I was always involved with music. Love it to the day I die. I'm going to always be doing music. And it's like I've incorporated it now with Zumba, which I'm so excited when my new CDs come in. I can't wait to listen to the music. And it's all the Latino stuff and the different cultural styles. And it's just an expansive way of thinking with world music. And I'm able to expand in that aspect too. So I don't have a closed mind. I always like to listen to everything to see. You know, I might have a preference, but I notice my preferences can change depending on the mood that I'm in.
What was it like for you learning to play the instruments that you learned to play and voice lessons?
Okay. I could be a little obsessive. That's how I'll say it. I'm a perfectionist. So, and I've been told, and I know this is hard to believe, that I can be really mean when it comes to rehearsing. And I guess that is true, because I always feel like if you don't know your part, it's like you're wasting everybody's time. And it's like, I know my part, and the thing is, I don't want you to fudge it. I want you to listen to it and get it what exactly sounds like on the CD. Especially guitar or bass wise or drum. It's like I hear every single part. I want it perfect. So, for example, say I would go for a lesson. And this is what I loved about my music teacher. Loved him. I would come in and I would be like, I gotta learn this guitar part. I gotta learn this, right? And it was nowhere near my level. Okay, and I learned this as I got older, and then I became a music teacher. He never quenched my spirit. He was like, okay, we'll chart it out. And I would take this information. Now, my skill level, my fingers were nowhere near that level of speed. But I'd ear train it, and I'd break it down. And I'd break it down, and I'd break it down, and I'd listen, and I'd break it down to 2 measures. And I would sit there and literally, God is my witness, would play those 2 measures for about maybe 5 hours. Okay? And every home I lived in, there was a studio built for me. I always had this great studio. And I would practice and practice and practice until it was just like the way I heard it. And I loved it. And there was this satisfaction. I do it today. I was just doing it Tuesday night, as a matter of fact. I was listening to the guitar lead on a song, and I'm like, all right, I got to learn it. I got to get it in muscle memory. I got to get it there. I'm reading the music. Now I want it in memory. And it wasn't just exactly how I wanted it. So it's like, I'll spend lots of time on doing it because it just feels so good once you get it right. And it's like, damn, that sounds good. So as far as like practicing in music, like I love guitar. At first I wasn't going to take guitar lessons because I felt like I invested so much time in keys and in piano. And then I said, you know what? This passion keeps screaming at me that I love guitar. And I said, I'm going to do it. And then first I had really a wacky teacher, and I stuck with him for like 6 months, didn't care for him. And then I found a guy that was the perfect match for me, which was Mike Flint's from Riot. And he just knew exactly how to work with me. And he got that out of me also. The same way Bernie does it to me now. When I get like solos, he knows how much to push and enough to back off to get the best quality out of me. Because if I feel pressured, usually I'll shut down. But I'm getting a lot better at it. And I think one of the biggest milestones that I recently overcame, and this was years, and I couldn't believe it, I actually overcame it. Whenever I make a mistake, no one would notice it, but I know. And it would bother me. So then when I would make this mistake, it could be one note. It could be vocally I made a mistake, or sang the wrong word, or whatever it was. It'll send me nosediving mentally while I'm still in it, and I don't recover. And recently, it was funny. There was there was a tuning issue, and I was pissed because I didn't go with my own judgment. I listened to somebody else, and I did something just as we were going to go on, and I was ready to go. And as soon as I hit the first note, it was all on me. It was out of tune, and I just I freaked out. I freaked, but I pulled it together real quick. Like it was like it's out of tune. And I just kind of backed off, and I thought real quickly, how am I going to get out of this and still go forward? We can't stop. It's got to continue. And I just backed off of the one string that I knew was out of tune, played it lightly, and then everybody covered it, and I recovered. And then the rest of the song was perfect. But normally what I would do, that would send me careening, and I'd probably mess up the rest of the music for the rest of the song, or mentally it would be like, that sucked. I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm a terrible musician. I don't believe I made this mistake. And this would go on and on in my head. But the biggest milestone that I just finally, this is only a couple of months ago, I made the mistake. I quickly pulled it together, compensated for where the error was, and it went forward and nobody knew. So that was huge for me. So I don't know if it's age that did it, and you go, so what? But I don't know how the Westminster students do it. That pressure alone, I watch, and I'm like, oh my God, I would have fell apart. I wish when I was younger I came here though, because I can see this would have been a good match for me. I just never knew it. I was just all over the place.
What's your favorite musical aspect of Princeton?
Okay. I love the rich history of Princeton musically, and Westminster is the complete staple of that. Since 1926, it's here. It's the hub of classical music, if you ask me. To see the quality that comes out of this college. I've been around at different colleges, and I know music. This is what I love about Princeton, and it's Westminster Choir College. I remember the first time I heard readings and carols in Princeton Chapel. I couldn't contain myself. The first single note that came out from the balcony, my first year working here, I was almost like passed out from it. To this day, I go to readings and carols. That first note it still pierces through me. Like, I can't believe what I'm hearing, the acoustics, the sound, the richness, the culture of Princeton and how they honor the arts. That's what I love about here. It's like a mini New York. It's multicultural in many aspects. You don't get that in a lot of towns in New Jersey, but I feel at home here, and it kind of ties me back. If I'm not in New York, we have McCarter Theater. I love going there also. It just feels very New York in a smaller way, and it's very music based. That's what I love about Princeton. And Westminster is what I love the most, and that's being honest. This is what keeps me at my job. And my favorite part of the holidays is Princeton. It's like my son, he's 21 now. I've been coming to Princeton since he's 2, and we would take the day after Thanksgiving and go to Palmer Square to do the caroling when they light the tree. So I've been coming here forever and ever and ever, and and also you would see I can't remember this the right way. They would have, I don't know if they're doing it anymore, but they would have carolers going around for the shoppers during that weekend. But it really is the presence of Christmas is represented here in Princeton as if it was a picture of a card, a Christmas card. You're going to start seeing it now because we're so close to the season, and I just think it's amazing. And then you see all the Westminster students doing their caroling, and it's special. I don't think when I was younger, I used to go to like Bloomingdale's in the city and do Christmas caroling. We'd get paid as a little ensemble group for the shoppers. And to see it out on the streets in Princeton, it brings me back to when I was in choir and doing that kind of fun stuff in school.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome.